Super Mario Maker is a series where you can make your own Mario levels. You have choices from simple terrain to enemies, blocks, coins, and all sorts of gadgets and power-ups, even this thing that everyone hates. You could make your own worlds, there was a story mode, there were likes and dislikes, and although they refused to add the ice flower, it was genuinely fun to post levels and see who would play them. You could even choose which Mario game you wanted your level to take place in. Overall, it was just an amazing experience. They added extra content as well, with new power-ups and even Link. It was kinda weird, but people went along with it. Nintendo even uploaded levels themselves, and people fought for records on these various challenges. Though this game didn't sell astronomically, the community was happy, with the exception of the goddamn ice flower, and Nintendo constantly supplied us with new content, until eventually they just stopped. They didn't update the game any longer. No levels, costumes, power-ups, nothing. And like expected, this game went on the shelf for years. Now don't get your hopes up, they still haven't announced anything, but after years, this has led me to wonder, what happened? Why did Nintendo just forget about this game? Today we'll be diving into how the original performed, how it compared to the sequel, how the updates were received, and what actually happened to the game. Let's get right into it. Super Mario Maker, released for the Wii U in 2015, was, well, a game where you can make your own levels. You were sat in a grid where you could choose the biome and game style you wanted to play in. This was crazy for the time, and popularity obviously boomed. YouTubers started coming out, basing their entire channels on this game. Sure, a lot of levels really sucked and options were limited, but that didn't take away from the popularity of this game, especially since it was available on Nintendo's best-selling console of all time, the DS. The game also featured something called the 100 Mario Challenge, where you'd have 100 lives and play levels until you ran out. I personally didn't really ever play it, but I knew plenty of streamers and YouTubers made videos playing this challenge, and people would do anything to see their favorite YouTubers play these levels. Although Mario Maker generally did well, a lot of things were wrong with it. Firstly, the creator was limited, and I mean very, very limited. Nintendo hardly listened to any of the community's requests for items or game styles. It was just genuinely upsetting a lot of the time. A ton of levels were just downright bad because a ton of skill and creativity was required to just make good levels. Dev roots were also huge. Basically, a dev root is when the creator of a level makes their level either impossible or incredibly hard, and in order to pass the clear test, creates a hidden root or item that only they can find. It was just incredibly frustrating to get these when you were low on lives or just in general. Another small complaint was that the two consoles this game was available on were not easy to work with. The DS stylus was very janky at times. A lot of the problems with this game do carry over into the sequel, so let's just get into that. Super Mario Maker 2 came out in 2019 for the Nintendo Switch, and boy did they add so much more. Did they add the ice flower? No. They did add clear conditions, hundreds of new items, gizmos and enemies, story mode, super worlds, new game styles, and so much more. So how many copies did this one sell? 4 million more. Yeah, these games did not perform very well. There was a like and dislike system, and Nintendo even released their own levels called Ninja Speedruns that I went feral for as a 10-year-old. Overall, this game was a huge improvement, and the DLC was great as well, adding many new items, including my personal favorite, the SMB2 mushroom. It kept what needed to be kept from the original, like the level creator, but also changed what needed to be changed, which was a lot. Kaizo, which is a genre of game that's very hard, was also a lot bigger and definitely had a bigger social media presence. Online multiplayer was also possible, and 2 people could work in the editor at once. I have many memories of creating a 2-block wide platform and a castle level, and me and my friends launching each other off. Even nighttime versions of each biome in your own world were available. And side note, the music was absolutely amazing. This game was so hype at the time, but even with all of these new features, many people weren't happy, and a lot of it had to do with the updates. Many of the updates that Nintendo added were cool, but not really what people asked for. They were still fun though, don't get me wrong, but some of the biggest updates to Mario Maker 2 were the additions of the spikes, pokies, frozen coins, P-blocks, dash blocks, the Master Sword, the SMB2 mushroom, the frog suit, power balloon, super acorn, boomerang flower, cannon box, propeller box, red POW box, Goomba mask, bullet bill mask, Mecha Koopa, Larry, Iggy, Wendy, Lemmy, Roy, Morton, Ludwig, the cursed key, the on-off trampoline, and the Super World Maker. All of these undoubtedly helped creativity and added a lot to the game, especially with the 3D world style previously lacking a lot. But as much as I joke about it, where was the ice flower? Where was the hammer suit? The mini mushroom? You know, things people actually asked for? People did love these new updates, but there was a lot of rightful disappointment when the last update was announced and almost nothing we asked for was featured. Probably the most infamous example of this is the Extra Game Styles tab. Why was there this weird space for another style, and why was styles plural if Nintendo was just never gonna add another one? This was actually cruel. My biggest question is just why? People were obviously gonna be upset by this. Just center the thumbnail and make it singular. Mario Maker 2 officially received its last major update in April of 2020, and as I mentioned, people were not happy about this. People felt the game wasn't complete, and the last update was just abrupt. Like, it felt like it wasn't ready to be done yet. There isn't a lot of information as to why Nintendo just decided to stop, but the biggest theory is Nintendo wasn't happy with the performance of this game, and decided that it wasn't worth it. Mario Maker 2 sold around 8 million copies, and although that is a huge number, to put it in perspective, Nintendo's best-selling game, Wii Sports, sold literally 10 times that. The Nintendo Switch sold around 143 million consoles worldwide, meaning that only around 5.5% of Switch owners had Mario Maker 2. Comparing that to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's 44%, it's pathetic. Nintendo might have seen the seeming failure of this game and decided it wasn't worth continuing. Although I can understand where they're coming from, the community of people that did play Mario Maker 2 genuinely enjoyed it, and it's sad that Nintendo didn't view this game as worthwhile. The Mario Maker community is still alive and running, but considerably smaller, and many people have resorted to just coding their own hacks or playing Kaizo and other form of games. I think a game whose developers listen to the community are some of the best games, and as much as I adore Nintendo, I really hope they listen to more players when creating and updating the next Mario Maker game. Speaking of the next Mario Maker game, is there gonna be one? It's been almost 6 years since Mario Maker 2 released, and we've had no mention of a new addition to the series so far. We've been waiting for a while now, and it's reasonable for people to start questioning whether there is gonna be a Mario Maker 3. Now, most people that have been keeping up with Mario Maker in the past few years have probably noticed the demand for a 3D Mario Maker, and I don't really know if we're gonna get one. On one hand, Nintendo definitely knows how huge this would be, but Nintendo also has a tendency to not listen to what people want. I certainly hope Nintendo implements 3D in the game, but if I'm being honest, as long as the next game is good, I don't mind it being 2D. Adding the Ice Flower, being able to undo courses, expansion on Super Worlds, more game styles, more power-ups, consistent updates, more playable characters, and some sort of solution to dev roots are just all things that would make or break a buy from me. We just need what we genuinely want. Now, I do think a good 3D Mario Maker would perform well, but I genuinely can't imagine Nintendo being able to pull this off without it being extremely limited or extremely buggy. It also doesn't help that Nintendo's target audience is kids, and especially in console format, I just feel like it'd be too complex. That's all for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you'd like to see more of this kind of content, I urge you to subscribe and like the video. Be sure to check the description for footage credits, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!